I'm a big dog, who you wanna? Yeah. Diamonds on my wrist and on my.
So what's going on, and welcome into the huddle. You are here with Conor Coyle and Hayden Lunfeld, and we are back with the NBA. It is the NBA, however, so it is only Hayden and I here today, no Ari. In later NBA episodes, you will be seeing different special guests. Maybe we'll have one guy that's permanently on, but you'll constantly be seeing different special guests, whether it's professional basketball in the NBA or collegiate basketball. You'll be seeing different guys on here, and I'm excited for it. But don't worry, NFL fans, we got obviously Super Bowl coming up. We got episodes coming out. We have so many ideas that we're flowing through, and we'll just easily get through this. And to go through this like off season with the NFL, we have so many ideas. But in today's episode, Hayden and I will be going over our initial impressions this season. So Hayden, you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, one thing I do want to quickly start off with is that everyone saw that great win by the Wizards, my Wizards, that are my home team, my favorite team in the league. And I just can't believe the fact that we're somehow 2-0 against the Nets, who are considered a super team, and 2 and believe it's now 13 against the rest of the league, which doesn't make sense to me. But to get into my
But they were without Harden.
What'd you say? Yeah, they were both without Harden, but my first impression of this league this season is that it's very competitive. This is going to be one of the more competitive seasons we've seen in the recent years. If you look in the West, only 3 games, in the East, only 3 games separate the 4 seed and the 11 seed right now. And in the West, it's only 1.5 games between the 4 seed and the 10 seed. So there's a lot. We're going to see a lot of movement throughout the season. We've seen some surprise teams already, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I just really like how we're seeing a lot of teams compete. We're seeing teams like the Hornets win games. We're seeing teams like the Heat struggle. We're seeing teams like the Raptors struggle. So, I feel like this is the season where we're going to see some, teams like the Cavs, Knicks, they're all emerging. And both conferences look pretty competitive so far. So that's always good to see.
Yeah. Both conferences are very, very doing, kind of unexpectedly. Some of them are doing unexpectedly well, and teams that I expected to do really well are doing terribly. The Heat, who were in the finals last year, are 7-13. They are 13th in the East. That's obviously not where we expected them to be this year. Obviously, it's 20 games into the season. You have 62 more games to go. So there's plenty of time left for, a little change around, and everything is so close.
It's shorter this season, right? 72 games this season, I think. So I think 72. It's less. Yeah.
So 52 games, still plenty of time. But in both conferences, things are very close. And then they're doing the play-in game again this year, right?
Yeah, I think they're planning on putting the top 10 from each conference, and then having I think similar to what they did in the bubble, which the 10 through 8 seeds will play in. And but getting back to the Heat, if Charlie Masterson is listening to this, he's a big Heat fan. I've been telling him that the Heat are frauds. I made a bet with him that the Heat wouldn't return to the conference finals, and they might not even make the playoffs. I don't know. I think they were just like a one-hit wonder, and with all the talent in the East now, I don't know who they're better than. I'm not gonna say they're a top 5 team in the East right now. Even I know they're struggling and they haven't had their full team, and COVID. We've seen COVID do that to a couple teams, but I just don't know if I can even put them in the top half of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think I'm struggling to put them in the top half of the Eastern Conference as well. At the same time, they haven't had a fully healthy team nearly all season. Interesting, you called them a one-hit wonder, as they also have Boy Wonder on their team. Shout out Jack Harlow. Bam Adebayo, though, is so nice. He is, like we said last year, he is a more athletic, more athletic Jokic that can't shoot as well as Jokic.
Yeah, and a great defender too. Great defender.
And a great defender. You know, he's someone that I just love watching in the NBA. And but another thing that I wanted to mention was another team that you mentioned earlier that is competing in the 8th seed right now in the East, the Hornets. And obviously, I want to talk about LaMelo Ball because, you know, I've been watching LaMelo Ball since he was in middle school. But the first person I want to talk about is Gordon Hayward. That man has been on a tear.
Yes.
Hayden and I will be doing over our next 2 NBA episodes. We'll be putting our all-star candidates, and I'm telling you, Gordon Hayward is on my list. I don't know who's on Hayden's. Gordon Hayward is on my list. This man has been on a tear. He's someone that I really enjoyed watching. Seeing him go down a few years ago, obviously was, you know, painful because you never want to see someone, you never want to see someone go down like that. You never want to see someone get injured. Shout out Calist, Gordon Hayward's his favorite player. But he has been on a tear this season. He's been attacking the lane like he hasn't in 3 years. It's been a great thing to see. And tagging back to LaMelo Ball, this guy's vision is incredible. He needs to cut down on the turnovers. But his per 36 numbers are amazing. In his per 36, he's averaging around 18 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. That is incredible. As a rookie, that is incredible. He needs to get his minutes up. He started last night, I believe.
Did you see he had a plus 37 in his first start. Plus 37.
37.
And he was on the court.
He obviously makes that offense run. Devontae Graham had his first good game of the season yesterday as LaMelo started. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the Hornets end up at the end of the season.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback on you talking about Gordon Hayward, because another interesting thing that we've seen this season is some emerging talent. Like Gordon Hayward's included in that, but like Jaylen Brown, Zach LaVine, Christian Wood, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, DeJounte Murray on the Spurs, he's been a guy who's stepped up this season. And Bam Adebayo, who we already mentioned, guys like that have taken their game to seemingly another level, and that's always great to see. And it's fun for fans to watch. So, and I know you're proud of Christian Wood. You know, Rockets on a 6-game win streak. Your Rockets.
Exactly what I was going to mention next.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I wanted to mention next. So the Rockets have gotten themselves into the play-in game now, as they have won 6 games in a row. We've struggled early in the beginning of the season. We've played less games than I think everybody else in the league, due to COVID, and there was like one time where we only had 3 available players. Like we've been struggling. Injuries wise, Eric Gordon's missed a lot of games. Daniel House, a lot of our key players have missed a lot of games, but we're back healthy now. Christian Wood, wow, that guy has excited me since the moment I started watching him when he was on the Pistons, and I knew we were getting a great deal when we got him over the offseason. I was questioning the amount. I didn't think he was worth $41 million. And boy, was I wrong. I was a steal. So we've earned ourselves back into a play-in game at the 9th seed. And I think that will only go up as the season goes. John Wall has become my favorite player in the NBA. He was always up there, as the Wizards fan, as I've always been a Wizards fan at my, and deep in my heart, I've always loved the Wizards as well as the Rockets, just the Rockets a little bit more. But John Wall, his vision and the way he can speed the ball up the floor and push tempo is just something that matches with Christian Wood so well. And it is so beautiful seeing the chemistry with the Rockets. And I don't think we're contenders, but I think we are, we are well deserving to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and what's so great about that team is it feels like almost every guy on that team has something to prove, especially with Harden leaving. Like the guys who played with Harden, um, the last however many years, who are still on that team are like, you know what, I want to show that, you know, like Harden should have passed me the ball, like and then Oladipo, I I don't know, like he's trying to prove that he still can be looked at as a star in this league, and I don't think he felt like the Pacers really appreciated him. And then John Wall, obviously, my Wizards kind of did him dirty. Um, I don't know. I don't really have much comment on that because I'm a little sad as a Wizards fan. But and then DeMarcus Cousins even has something to prove. So, and then obviously Christian Wood, who went from G League player to a emerging star as he is now. So they all have something to prove, and they're all playing with a lot of heart.
Shout out to the girl that left Christian Wood when he didn't get drafted. Shout out to her, because now your man is getting $41 million to play the game he loves and be an emerging star in the NBA. So shout out to you.
Can we real quick talk about this one more thing that I think is actually really important for this NBA season? I'm a big Jokic guy, right? I'm a big Jokic guy. But the debate between him and Embiid is actually a thing now. I think it is actually a thing. It's a legitimate conversation for the best center in the league. I mean, it's great for the center position because, you know, I've always thought like the center position is bound to go extinct at some point because you have guys who are growing up like 6'9", 6'10", who are like training to be point guards and shooting guards. Like they're not focused on being a big man on their AAU team. They're not like, I think the future of the league is in these guys' hands as the two best centers in the league. And I think Embiid's play this season so far has made that conversation like a thing. Like, where is Embiid better? Is Jokic better? I still lean with Jokic. I love Jokic. He's one of my favorite players. But what Embiid's done has been very impressive this season.
Yeah. Embiid's been on a tear, 100%. But I still don't think it's a conversation. The moment I see Joel Embiid nearly averaging a triple double, then I'll say something. But I think the only thing Embiid has an edge on Jokic on is on the defensive end.
For sure.
And now that the Nuggets are fifth in the West, they've won 7 out of their last 10 games. They've been starting to win again. They've started to get back on their track from always being known as a top 2 seed in the NBA, or not always, but throughout the last couple of years, they've been at the top of the chain in the West. And I think this is the year that they do something in the playoffs. I think
Nuggets. You said the Nuggets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Michael Porter Jr. looks amazing. Jokic has always been the star that Hayden and I have loved watching, and Jamal Murray is different in the playoffs. Jamal Murray in the playoffs, I don't know if it was just him trying to get his girl in, or I don't know what was going on, but that man is like that in the playoffs.
I think I actually want to disagree with what you said about this is the year they're going to do something in the playoffs, because they did something last year. I mean, they came back from 3-1 in 2 straight playoff series. That's really impressive against the Jazz and the Clippers, no less. But this season, I don't really see that happening. I mean, with the Clippers, I think the Clippers and the Lakers, this is the year where they're going to finally meet in the conference finals. The Clippers right now are flying under the radar, mainly because I think the Nets have taken most of the attention of everyone. But the Clippers, until tonight, were the 1 seed in the West. And I mean, Kawhi Leonard's like he's quietly averaging like 27, 28, and like he's playing he's playing like the star that he was in Toronto, and Paul George is having his redemption year after pandemic P in the bubble. Um, and then they got like Nick Batum now, who's a good role player. They got Serge Ibaka, who's been a good defensive player for them. I mean, I don't know. Like, I love the Nuggets. I'll tell anyone that they're my second favorite team in the league. But like, I'm kind of concerned for them, and I feel like they made a bit of a mistake letting Jeremy Grant go like they did. Even though Porter Jr. has looked good, I think they need to get him back in the normal rotation that they had him in before he got COVID. But Will Barton's filled in nice, and they have a lot of guys who can just play. Like, it's so. I just don't see them beating the Clippers this season like they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to make it out of the West.
Yeah.
I
agree. I think we could just say they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, regardless of how good your team is.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that. And also, Nick Batum's a casual, bro. I don't know why.
I don't like him. I don't like him at all. I never said I like him, but like, he's just a good like pickup veteran presence, like for them to have, and he can make threes, and that's important. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Another team that I wanted to bring up are the Suns. So the Suns last year in the bubble went undefeated. Sadly, after going undefeated, still didn't end up in the playoff, whatever they want to call it, from last year. So the Suns have won 5 out of their last 10 games. They've been on a little bit of a losing streak from how well they were doing earlier in the season. But at the same time, I see a lot of upside in the Suns. I think Devin Booker has been playing the worst he's been playing. The worst he's ever played. And I know Devin Booker, I know the Kardashian curse is a thing, clearly. But I think at some point in this season, Devin Booker is going to wake up, and you have the best floor general in the league on their team, Chris Paul. And DeAndre Ayton has only proved more and more each and every year he's played in the league. And I see them as not a contender, like I said about the Nuggets, but definitely a tough team to play in the playoffs, which is really what Hayden was saying earlier on. Like, there are so many tough teams in this league. I think it's very well spaced out. Even though the Nets have a super team, we all know that either Kyrie's out of there or it's not going to work long term. But
yeah, they're all about winning now. That's a whole nother conversation. I mean, yeah, can we talk about the 2-1 seeds though in the conferences, because that could be a little surprising so far. So in the West, after the Clippers just lost to the Nets tonight, we have the Jazz regaining the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz. If you recall, Conor slandered me for picking them to win a first-round playoff series in the bubble, which didn't happen, unfortunately. But they're good now with their full team back. And then you have the Sixers in the East, who we already talked about Embiid and how great he's been. And Doc Rivers is doing a good job over there. And I think Danny Green has played a big role. But what do you think? What do you think about these teams' long-term success?
Which team you want me to start off with? Because I can go into depth about either one.
Let's start with the Jazz, more surprising team.
All right, so the Jazz, as I said last year, I have had little confidence in, and they've kind of showed me up this year. So in that case, I'm going to absolutely not. I'm not changing my mind still. I think they're getting first rounded. I don't care who they're playing. I think they're getting first rounded. Donovan Mitchell is frying, however. And Rudy Gobert is being that defensive anchor that we know he is. But at the same time, I don't see them going anywhere in the playoffs. I don't think they are by any means a championship contender. And if they are, then someone clip this and yell at me at the end of the season. But if the Jazz win a playoff game this year,
A playoff series. Don't say game. They're not getting swept.
No, I don't know. I said a playoff series, right?
Okay.
Yeah, if they win a playoff series, someone give me a punishment in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that gets our comments. I mean, that's a good idea. But this is a tough one because I liked the Jazz last year when they didn't have Bogdanovich in the bubble, and they're gonna be a very tough out in the playoffs. I don't know. I think they'll win one this. I think they'll win at least one playoff series this year. I mean, and the Nuggets seem to be their only weakness. The Nuggets ended their winning streak. I think it was a 10 or 11 game winning streak they were on. But I mean, I don't think they'll finish as the 1 seed. LeBron's still in the West. Like, let's be real here. I could see them maybe as high as the 3, but more realistically 4 or 5 seed. But they have pieces. Let's not get that twisted. Jordan Clarkson is going to be 6th man of the year. Their bench scoring is so good with Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson. And they have some great role players who can play defense and shoot the 3, like Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles, who I already mentioned. They guard the best perimeter players on the opposing teams. They do a good job. And they also are both right now shooting above 45% from 3. And then you have Donovan Mitchell. I still think, like, if Donovan Mitchell doesn't have a good game, they can still win without him because they just have so many players who can play. Like, I haven't even mentioned Bogdanovich yet, who can score, and Mike Conley, who's a veteran. And then if Rudy Gobert can just like keep playing defense like he has been, and he had like a crazy game, like 29 points, 20 rebounds the other day to kind of shut Shaquille O'Neal up, because Shaquille O'Neal was talking that shit to him because for some reason he likes to do that. He did it to Donovan Mitchell too. Like, this team wants to prove something. I could see Donovan Mitchell taking the next step. And they have the pieces. It'd be interesting to see if they can put it together. Like I said, LeBron's still in the West. The Clippers are still in the West. And the Nuggets are their weakness. So I don't know if they can make a run.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the Rockets are in the playoffs, the Jazz aren't going anywhere. They seem to always lose to the Rockets in the playoffs. But I do want to share something because you brought up LeBron.
Look at him.
He wasn't even touched. Watch.
At all. He did get touched. Look at him.
All right, I need to stop this. Stop the share. Thank you. Stop the share. Turn it off. Listen, you're just a hater, okay? You're just a hater. You're just a hater on the GOAT.
Soft.
You're a hater. You know that? I mean, like, I just, there's no other way to put it. Like just have personal vendetta against that man. But I feel like we should save the LeBron talk for another time, because right now we got to talk about the Sixers, man. They're the 1 seed in the East right now, and I just don't have faith in them at all. I'm sorry. Like, look at these teams I still think they're the 4th best team in the East. I mean, look, I don't see them being better than the Bucks, the Nets, the Celtics. I don't see it. And we all know that there's still that Jason Tatum is still their dad. Like, we all know that. Until I see it from them in the playoffs, I can't have faith in them. And like, Tobias Harris is their 2nd best scorer, and he's so inconsistent. Ben Simmons his numbers have went down since his rookie year. That's trending. everyone's saying his prime was his rookie year. And I mean, Embiid, like, as long as Embiid stays healthy, they'll have a chance. But like, if you've seen that team play without Embiid, they suck. They're awful. So that's just like, I don't see it from them yet. I think it's Embiid doing a lot right now, and I don't know if he can do it for a whole season because we've seen in the past he isn't able to do it for a whole season, or where he gets hurt. And I like how he's managing his load now, but I don't know, man. If they face the Celtics in the playoffs, they're in trouble.
I completely agree. I think they're actually the third best team in the East. I'm taking them over the Bucks.
Hmm.
I have very little faith in Giannis. I think if he was 6'5", I don't think he'd be in the NBA. He has little to no skill. That man is just 83'7" and moves like a guard. Shout out Flight. So I don't think the Sixers are necessarily legitimate. I mean, Embiid, like you said, is playing MVP caliber. He's probably what I'd say he's second candidate for MVP right now.
I think like odds wise, yeah, behind LeBron.
Yeah, and then Ben Simmons is playing great defense. Great passer like we all know he is to be. But like Hayden said, his efficiency numbers have gone down since his rookie year. LaMelo Ball has improved more in his first 10 games in the NBA than Ben Simmons did in his entire career.
And it's saddening to see like how he's playing as their point guard, and he doesn't even have a mid range that he can commit to. Like, not even a mid range jumper. Like, much less a three. Everyone knows how much that's a meme. Like him shooting a three. Every time he makes a three, like, which happens once in a season, it's like they won the championship. Like that's how the fans reacted when he hit a three last season.
Yeah, and like I said last year, that I said was my problem with the Sixers was they don't have enough 3-point firepower. In this day and age, the 3-pointer is what teams live and die on, and they don't have much of that 3-point firepower. So I don't necessarily see them as a contender in the East. But I think they are a very tough team to beat, and I think they will be a very hard team to beat in the semifinals. And whatever team beats them in the Eastern Conference semifinals, props to them.
Probably Celtics because Jason Tatum is their father. So
Jaylen Brown's better.
Yeah. Right now, I agree with that. I love Jaylen Brown. Should I get into my All-Star lineup here?
See it.
All right, I'm gonna share.
Wait, hold on. Before we get into this, is your All-Star lineup the 10 best players in the NBA? Your personal opinion, your like guys that you want to put in based on like what is this based off of?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share first. So I'm filling out this on NBA.com, and it's definitely not the top 10 players in the league right now because it's by position. It's limited. Like the guards, you can only pick guards for. Yeah. So
I'm saying
this is just who I think should be the starters at the moment for the All-Star game. So let's start with the East. We go guard. And I think with the first option, I got to stay with my home team, Bradley Beal. He got snubbed last year. And then, actually, it's a guy we just talked about, Jaylen Brown. He's my other All-Star starter in the East. He's having, look at his stats. You can see it right there on the screen. And like you said, he's the best player on that team. He deserves it. These two guys were both snubbed last year. I think they should be the starters at this moment right now.
Yeah,
and quick. Oh, you go ahead. Sorry.
Jaylen Brown's definitely a guy that I would like to see starting in the All-Star game, but due to the fact that the starters are based off of fan votes, I really see that being very unlikely to happen. But we will see.
Yeah. Also, interesting note: Fred VanVleet down here just dropped 54 tonight. Interesting. Yeah. So we'll go back here. Let's go to my East front court, and we got Connor's guy Gordon Hayward down there. Got a bunch of these names here, and then I think the most obvious one we just talked about, Joel Embiid. I think he's got to be in there, especially having the number 1 seed in the East. And then I got to give it to Kevin Durant too. He's like, it's so impressive what he's doing coming off an Achilles tear. He's averaging over 30, and he's the head of actually the best offensive rating, the team with the best offensive rating in the history of the league. But unfortunately, they suck at defense. And then it comes down to my third here. And I hate to be basic, but I'm going to take Giannis. I hate to be basic. But I think like those three are above and beyond. And I could see an argument for Tatum, but he had COVID, so I don't know if right now he's better than Giannis. But yeah, that's my East starters. And then the West, we'll start with guards. Yeah,
you skip that now.
Yeah, there's no chance I'm gonna vote for Damian Lillard. Me and Connor, that if there's one thing we agree on, it's that Damian Lillard is very overrated. That's like I could rant on for that for hours. I don't know if actually hours, but I could rant on that for a pretty good amount of time. And then Steph Curry, I have to vote for. Like that one's the most obvious one out of any of these names. That goes without saying anything. Like he's just carrying that team right now, and he dropped 62 in a game this season. And then the next backcourt member is for me, it's between Luka and Donovan Mitchell. And I'm still gonna say Luka because yes, his team's struggling, but he's still Luka Doncic. Like you said, the stars get to start. I love Donovan Mitchell, but he has not even been playing as like his field goal percentage is not that great. And I just think Luka and Curry should be. And I will say this: I'll take Donovan Mitchell over Dame. I'll take CJ McCollum over Dame. Like
I'm taking CJ McCollum.
I'll take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right here over Dame. So as you can see, Dame slander, yes, 100%. And we'll go to the West front court now. Yeah, that's easy. LeBron, yeah, that's easy. I love LeBron. MVP front runner right now is the Lakers are coasting and they're 16-6, but they're doing all right. And then another easy one, Jokic. These are my two favorite players in the league, and that's not biased, but they're actually playing well. They actually deserve it. I mean, Jokic nearly averaging a triple-double, and LeBron is doing this in year 18. And then my third one, it's going to have to be Paul George. I think Paul George is the best player on the Clippers.
I said the same thing when we were on FaceTime the other night.
Yeah, I think Paul George, I love Kawhi. Like, I don't hate Kawhi. I think Paul George offers more all-around game because he's still a good defender, and then his offense is just levels above Kawhi, in my opinion. But and he's really shutting up the doubters too, the pandemic P naysayers.
Hey, that's the name of my fantasy basketball team.
Yeah. I mean, he deserves it, in my opinion, and I think he's going to be the guy that makes that Clippers team is going to be responsible for however far that Clippers team goes, because Kawhi is kind of a given, like 25 per game. He'll hit his mid-range shots. He'll play defense. But Paul George is the guy on the Clippers, in my opinion. So that's what we got. Now, Connor, I want to hear your thoughts.
Most of it I honestly agreed with. I think there were 2 or 3 guys that I had different on mine, and you guys will see mine next week. Like I said earlier, Giannis, 86'7". I don't have very much. I'm honestly a Giannis hater more than I'm a LeBron hater. I, when he was going back and forth with Harden, I didn't like that. Giannis has no skill. This man just rim runs. He takes 3 steps full court. He's 95'6", and he just has no basketball skill. If he was 6'5", he would not be in the league. If he was my height, he would not be in the league.
I think saying he doesn't have skill, though, that's not he obviously has skill. He has the moves to get inside the paint and score. He has the finishing package, like Kyrie does, but it's dunks. He'd be doing reverse dunks. He'd be doing
that's athleticism.
Okay, and he's blessed with athleticism, and he's using it correctly. We've seen plenty of guys waste that. I think he's more skilled than you give him credit for. He's actually a pretty good passer for not being known as a guy who's a passer. He's developing a better jump shot. He has a good post game, and saying he doesn't have skill is just kind of ignorant, because he's in the NBA for a reason.
So
that's not purely because he's 7 foot and athletic. That is not purely the reason. He has skill to add to that.
I'm just saying there are so many guys in the league that are far more skilled than he is. I think I'm taking Rui over Giannis. I think Rui is much more skilled. But we can have this conversation in another episode.
I'm sorry,
where I get to slander Giannis.
There's no way. You just said Rui Hachimura is more skilled than Giannis? I'm a Wizards fan, and I love the Wizards support, but hell no.
I mean, I'm not saying he's better. I'm saying he's more skilled.
I don't care. Giannis is skill. It takes skill to drop 30 a game. I don't know where that's coming from.
Bro, he is. I honestly think Pascal Siakam's better.
No. No.
I think King's spin move.
No. But I'll do the Pascal Siakam right now. Spin moves, just straight spin moves. That's the definition of no skill right there. But I just can't deal with this Giannis slander right now, man. I think he's more skilled than people give him credit for.
I guess it will have to be a conversation for another episode.
That is true.
Yep. I appreciate you guys taking your time and clocking in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time on The Huddle.